Why home distill? That is the question. Okay, what are we going to do today? Well, today we're going to go over what it costs to make a bottle of spirits. We're going to think about the taste. Can we make spirits as good as the big guys? The fun of being creative. Can we age it in different ways? The science of it. All right, but first things first, welcome to Stillworks and Brewing. My name is Randy, and this is a channel that's all about home distillation and brewing. All right, first things first, get the homework out of the way. Hey, if you like this stuff, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's so easy to do. I need all the subscribers I can get to keep this channel going. All right. And it really does help us out a lot. Okay, let's get started. There's many reasons to home distill. And the first one is we're going to talk about is cost. Okay, now this is the cost of materials, not the cost of the still or whatever, you know, your still and that kind of things. You can get, I've had very good products off of less expensive stills, and I've had good stuff off of more expensive stills. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. What I do is I got an 8-gallon still, and I usually make 6-gallon mashes and washes for that 8-gallon still. It just works out great for me. All right. So it's whatever you decide that's going to work the best for you is what you want to use, okay? All right, let's go over some of the costs. All right, bourbons. Now, corn. The main ingredient in bourbon is corn. I usually buy corn at your local feed stores, or there's I don't know how to say it. Store out there is like a chain store that has all farm products and stuff in there. I buy a lot of yellow dent corn from them. Okay, so in this recipe I use $2.86 of corn. Barley, I usually buy that from the local homebrew shop, buy the 50-pound bag. So I used $11.16, wheat $4.38, rye $3.50, about $1 worth of yeast. So you might as well say it cost me $22.90 to make a batch of bourbon. I get about 5 bottles. So that will cost me $4.58 per bottle. And if you compare that to, let's say, Jim Beam, one bottle of Jim Beam will cost you $23, and a bottle of Bullet is $53. And if you go, and there's so many other bourbons out there, you can spend whatever you want to spend. So I think that's a pretty damn good deal. Now, of course, that's not my time in there, because if you work for yourself, you work pretty damn cheap, right? Okay, so that is bourbon. Rum. Molasses is about $30. I get that off of Amazon. It costs me about $30 a gallon. Sugar and raw, they got a word for that. Turbino sugar, right? $7.84. Yeast nutrient for about 82 cents. Total of $38.66, and I usually get 7 bottles out of that, and that will make it $5.52 a bottle. Hey, and I can put my rum up with a lot of the big boys. I think my rum is fantastic. And now this, like I said, this is not including if you're flavoring or anything like that. That don't include that. That's just your base rum and your base bourbon and such like that. So yeah, if you want to flavor, you got to add a little bit of cost to that, but hey, it's not all that much. All right. So that is rum. Pretty good deal, pretty good deal. Now here's one I use a lot of, corn moonshine. Corn liquor is base corn liquor, whatever you want to call it, just white lightning, whatever you want to call it. I use about $4.40 worth of corn. enzymes, I wrote down $4.56. That just don't sound right to me. I'm gonna have to double check into that. But you do need to use some like high temp enzymes and glucoenzymes to make that conversion. All right, a little bit of yeast. And I got it totaled out to $9.96, and I usually get 5 bottles out of that, so it cost me about $2 a bottle, you know, for a quart. That's not a bad deal. Not a bad deal at all. All right, so that's the cost. I would say if you don't calculate your time and the equipment, and you know, the equipment you can start out small and keep adding to your equipment and all that stuff, you know, to make this hobby. All right, so I did not calculate that in there. All right, so now let's talk about taste. And I think it was Cyrus over at Still in the Clear said doing is learning, and that is 100% true. The taste of home distilled spirits will get better with experience. Okay, the more you do, the more you learn how everything acts and everything done, how to make cuts. You'll make better mashes and washes, and then you will learn how to make the better cuts and able to how to finish it off in the bottle. You know, finish it off with aging and all that. We'll get to that, and to make all that better. So taste is very important, of course, but like I said, it will get better with experience. All right, can I make a bourbon as good as, you know, one of my favorite store-bought bourbons is Bullet. I love Bullet. Yes, I can make one taste as good as that, and I've gave it to other people and they say they agree. So yes, you can make spirits as good as store-bought or better, all right? But I will have to say there is a small learning curve to this hobby, but you never stop learning. You learn from every day. All right, so that's taste. Yes, taste is very important, and it is there. Number 2, creativity. This is the fun part. As long as you don't break the rules of science, you know, with converting starches into sugars and sugars into alcohol and all that stuff, as long as you don't break those rules, as a home distiller, you can do what you want. You know, and I think I said before, just for bourbon as an example, the rules of bourbon is it has to be made in the United States, it has to be a minimum of 51% corn, the rest of the grain can be anything you want, it has to be distilled no higher than 160 proof, I believe, coming off the still, and it can't go into a barrel no higher than 120, or is it 140? I think it's 140. Anyway, close to that. It has to be in a new charred white oak barrel, and that's the rules, right? But the rule is you're not allowed to flavor bourbon or color bourbon in any way. But you know what? As a home distiller, I can do what in the hell I want. You know, I can mix, match, whatever. So, but like I said, as long as you don't break the rules of the science, everything else is fair game, right? Okay, I mean, you could even somehow, and I'm just somehow mix rum and bourbon together, you might come up with a fantastic spirit. Who knows? But you can if you wanted to, if you're a home distiller, all right? And on that note, aging with wood. And I keep going back to bourbon because it's one of my favorite. You know, bourbon, you got to use white, new charred white oak, right? But we use barrels, we use bed motivator barrels, we use mini barrels, we use cubes, sticks, chips. And you can change the toast levels, you can change the char levels, you change the time that it is on there. It's all up to you. You could change the type of wood if you wanted, right? So you can really come up with a unique product and just changing the wood around, all right? Okay. The science. This is so fascinating. The science of it is to me is fascinating. To see how the enzymes that are in malted grain or into the liquid enzymes or dry enzymes, don't matter, convert the starches over into sugars, and then the yeast converts the sugars over into alcohol. That science is fascinating how it works, and it's fun to understand how it works, kind of. And you also got, okay, once you run in your still, the boiling point, why do you use ration rings? Why do you use copper mesh? Why do you use bubble plates to raise the ABV? How does it separate the alcohol from the water and the different boiling points? Blah, 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 blah. So much. And then the other thing is you get to use cool tools like glass hydrometers. Very necessary tool. Very inexpensive, but they are a necessary tool. You got ones to check the starting gravity. That's a big one. You got ones to check ABV. They look the same, but they are different. You got refractometers do the same thing. There's so many cool tools that you get to work with. The only two that you have to have is those two in the beginning, you know, as the hydrometers, you got to have them. All right, the rest you can get when you want. Okay. So that's the science of it. The science is fantastic, just how it works. It's amazing. It's amazing. Okay. There is some of the reasons why to home distill. So if you're a new guy just checking out why to home distill, I hope there's something you got out of this and made you think and say, well, maybe I'll try to get into this hobby. There's a lot of people to do. And if you're, maybe you're a home distiller and you just kind of take a hiatus, just kind of kicking back and haven't done it in a while. Maybe to recharge your battery to get started again. Excuse me. Or if you're just a well-experienced, active home distiller, well, I hope you got a little bit out of it, or you just love talking about this stuff. This has been a great hobby for me. Now, one lucky thing for me with this channel, trying to help people out, and that's my main goal, is to help other people. Because when I got started, it wasn't very many. There was a few out there, and I learned a lot from them, but I wanted to help out too. But if you are active, you just like this stuff, and you like to hear about it, you like to talk about it, and it is just fun hobby. So I just hope I help people. That's my main goal. I guess the last thing I got to say is, hey, hey, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time here on Still Works and Brewing. Cheers, everybody.